Hello and welcome to the final tour of the Endurance. It's kind of sad. Final tour of the Endurance. In this video I'm basically just going to give a tour from the stern side of the ship all the way forward to the front, show you where everything is, and this is the final version of the map. This is the completed version of the map. So pretty much what you're going to download is going to be this. So I thought I'd do a little last video tour before its release. So let's just jump straight into it and start with this is the very back section. You've got an invisible wall here, and we'll just start right at the back of the ship, starting with Cargo Bay 1 on the port side of the ship. So try and get through this relatively quickly, just to give you an idea. So really there isn't much in terms of functionality in here. We've got loads of cargo containers and stuff, and we've got a little transporter thing that when you push the button it does a little transporter noise, but you know, nothing's actually going on. It's just kind of, oh, I need to get rid of my body again, don't I? I'll leave it. But yeah, it's just a little transporter console there. And then if we go to the other side, to Cargo Bay 2, this is similar, loads of cargo all over the place, big door, not really much going on, but this is the side where you transport up the cargo from the away mission location, so that's kind of nice there. So we can beam the cargo up and down. Start moving forward. If we move forward, we've got two little warp field amplifier stations here. Now these will line up with the ones on the exterior hull, which are these blue glowy boxy looking things, which boost the warp field over the aft section of the ship. And behind this wall here, directly forward from that, will be a big round thing, which is the impulse fusion reactor for the back end of the ship. So it does have its own power supply, which is kind of cool. Sticking to the port side, we'll go over to the let's do the personnel bunks first. So in the personnel bunks area, we've got a couple of vending machines that they don't do anything, but they're pretty cool. And we have obviously a load of these little pod bunk things on either side. Slugger Cola. Make Ferenginar great again, that's brilliant. I still love that. And we've got the port aft airlock, I suppose you would call it. And the personnel head at the back here, which is just a fancy word for toilet. So we have a nice bathroom in here with sonic showers. Sonic showers make a little noise, but because the sound's coming through the speakers, I don't want to kind of offset the microphone a bit. So yeah, but yeah, they are functional. Little sonic showers that make a noise when you step in them and you press the back panel there. So let's go over to the starboard side. And on the starboard side of the ship, we have, these are bleepy consoles in these corridors. We have the starboard airlock for personnel, and we have the personnel mess as well, which is like a mini mess hall where you can just come in and sit down and do very little and replicate a few things, and that's about it. In the personnel bunks on the starboard side, again, Captain Picard plushies and the singing holographic doctors replicas, 8x10x4 replica. And we've got obviously some more bunks and stuff. You can jump into the upper bunks if you're a bit crafty. It's not easy, but you can do it. So let's move forward again, and we will move into the kind of connection corridor between the aft section and the forward section. As you can see here, we've got a little door that says 4 access, and we've got again another warp field amplifier boxes here for you to have a little play with, and we've got the main EPS input for the back here, which is a EPS manifold and just a load of blinky lights and stuff and pipes. So this is basically where the power from the forward section goes to the back. You can also channel from the impulse reactor behind this wall. You can also channel that forward to the front section, use it as a backup power supply as well. So there we go, that's pretty interesting. Moving forward, we've got the actual connection corridor here, which is kind of like the little connection corridor you get in some trains, you know, like between train carriages. So it kind of folds up when you detach the aft section, and just acts as a bridge between the two. As we enter the engineering section, on the port side you have a Jeffries tube, but you can't access it. But on the starboard side, you can actually go inside here, and this is the only little bit of Jeffries tube on this map. So you've got like some isolinear chips and some stuff you can work on. Does this panel work? Yeah, it does. So you've got a few bleepy panels and stuff in here, and you know, it's quite a nice little Jeffrey's tube junction. Had to have one in there. So we move back into the engineering section. On the right side, imagine it was flipped. You've got kind of all this space here on the right side there. That's where the computer core is, behind the wall. And you've got these removable panels here with bioneural gel packs in them and computer circuits and stuff. That's where all for kind of like the computer core bit. So you've got some nice little engineering panels there you can take off. You've got this little console here, kind of like a little meeting point, maybe have a few discussions or look at the computer system or whatever you want to do back here. And then we've got the warp core. We've got 3 removable panels above the warp core here, which is basically, I imagine, kind of your inputs would come through here and your computer control would come through here. A lot of computer circuitry in there, so I'd imagine you'd have like your input from your these are kind of the emergency, these tanks here are the emergency antimatter and matter pods there, but from your main ones, which would be located just behind these walls here, they would channel the antimatter and stuff through here and eventually down into the warp core through these conduits. So it's kind of what I would use that for if I was role-playing on it. Obviously underneath we've got the warp core, which is a sideways warp core. It can't be ejected in the map. In real life, of course, it would be able to be ejected. It's not that much bigger than kind of a runabout warp core or whatever, so it's but then with the aft impulse fusion reactor, you've got plenty of power, so it's not that big a deal. It's quite a nice little warp core, pretty good injection system, pretty good outputs and stuff. It looks pretty good. We've got the pool table where you could meet and have a coffee and talk about your engineering duties for the day. We've got some bleepy consoles along the sides, standard diagnostic station at the back, and you can run a little diagnostic.
Diagnostic in progress.
You then have this button here for shutting down
Warning.
the warp core.
Shutdown sequence.
So that is shut down and good to go.
Shutdown complete. Diagnostic complete.
And yeah, it takes a little while, but it comes back with the diagnostic complete at the back there, and then we can just start that back up.
Warning.
Obviously, if you're docked or in the process of docking or departing, you can't use the warp core shutdown because it interferes with that system.
Complete.
So let's move forward again. That's pretty much engineering. Pretty good. Fairly decent amount of functionality. Pretty happy with that. These all bleep. Move forward, and we're into the forward section now. The most forward of the forward section. On the port side, we've got, this is labelled as head, so this is just going to be like a sonic shower room or a bathroom. And the same thing on the starboard side here. We've got another one there, shared bathroom system. We've obviously got your little doorbell, and you can come into, this is the standard quarters, like crew quarters. You've got lots of little bits and pieces all around the room, little painting canvas and plants and tables and books and stuff, and lockers make a noise. And we've got a Rubik's Cube and an old Nintendo Entertainment System and some comic books. And I believe that's Callum's bottle of scotch up there, so nobody else drink it, please. And we've got, obviously, these beds are 7 in total. Total crew complement for an endurance class transport ship is 12. It runs on 12 people. 4-shift rotation I'd recommend for that one. Let's go with the Captain Jellicoe way of doing things, because it would actually make it a lot easier. So yeah, you can get in these little booths, and you've got some nice beds, nice little couch here. A few details. No replicators in the quarters on this map. No replicators. On the other side, so what is that door actually labelled as? Let's just have a little look at the door here. It's labelled as crew quarters. On the other side we have SO quarters, or senior officers quarters. Really it's any officers quarters, because you're not going to have many officers here. We've got some ivy, we've got some plants and tables, little bleepy console, again lots more detailed, little bed, radio, plays the Fallout 4 theme, Morn, and our little fish swimming around and in a juddery fashion, but they're still swimming around, so yeah, it's certainly quite interesting. Little fish tank. This is the sort of the general officers area here. So you've got 4 beds, 4 standard officers, 1 captain, and 7 typical crew members. So pretty nice little room in there. And then you've got the captain's room, which is kind of like just a cupboard. And you've got this little it's probably the nicest room on the ship because you've actually got places to stand up and move around, and a work desk and a little bed, and yeah, it's quite nice in here. So that's the captain's area. So let's go back out into the corridor, move forward again. On the right side here, we've got a little junction here that you can play around with, and on here, got a little junction there that you can play around with as well. So sticking to the port side, we have a Jeffries tube that you can't get into. This would lead up to the torpedo launchers in a little junction above here. That's not a button door, this is just the med bay. You can just walk straight into this one. You've got some little cupboards here. These contain like blankets and stuff, and this is a medical bay. This is like an emergency triage center. It's not a sick bay. It doesn't have any force fields, or it doesn't have the stuff to operate. You know, this ship is designed as a freighter. It's designed to travel from A to B. So odds are you're heading somewhere that probably a starbase that has a hospital. So it's really just keeping people going until you get to a more suitable location. But you've got all the basic medical supplies, medkits and stuff in there. You've got computer and library access, so you can access medical stuff, diseases, things like that, information on that. And then of course we've got some basic equipment. We've got like a little hyperspray station, some little tools, and just a couple of beds. You know, nothing too over the top. Very, very simple med bay in here. On the starboard side of the ship, past this panel of course, we have the galley, which has lots of hanging food and stuff contained in stasis fields so it doesn't go off, and bags of potatoes and pots and pans and stuff, and leeks, carrots, chopping board, and you've got refrigerators, some hanging utensils, some little fizzy frying pans, a replicator of course, so you can replicate stuff. And then we have at the back, we have these little slidey doors that give you access to all the food in there, so you can put it ready for people to come in and pick it up and eat it. So little serving stations here. They'll work and open and do what they're meant to do. Or the dessert station, I want some of that cheesecake. So we're going to go forward now, and this time we're going to, instead of going port, we're going to go starboard. And we've got the arms locker. The arms locker, very, very simple. Phases, couple of rifles, EVA suit, tricorders, engineer kits, medical kits. Nothing too over the top. This is the only place where there's weapons and stuff located on the ship. Very, very simple. It's a toggle door, so you just open it if you need some equipment or whatever. Going to the mess hall next, which is just next to that. A couple of replicators, Federation News Service screen, tons of tables, a couple of windows, and then we've got like little utensils, trays, plates, bowls. This end we've got little cups of liquidy stuff, tea, coffee, mugs, little tea cups, coffee mugs, glasses, everything you need there. And then of course on this side we can see all the little food items in there. A bit chilli there, bit of pizza, alien dishes there, like Klingon octopus and blood pie and all kinds of stuff in there. And then all the dessert one, I like the dessert one. I definitely want some of that cheesecake. So as we go over to the port side now, we're nearing the bridge now, which is through this door. We've got the airlock here, and this will give you access via the turbo lift menu basically to the 3 off-ship locations. I'm going to travel to them now via transporter and just go over what they look like in their final iteration. So here we are, just outside the airlock here for the Endurance here. We've got another little airlock panel there. Does that actually do anything? It does a bleepy noise, so that's useful. And this is just kind of a mock-up of multiple different Federation station designs, including like Station Modas and stuff like that. It's just designed to blend in with whatever Federation starbase maps there are out there, just to kind of make it, you know, have some similarities, so you could look at this and think, oh yeah, it could be like a hidden section on that. This room you can't go in. I don't think the button does anything either. Nope. This one you got a doorbell, and you can go in. And inside you've got a few tables, a few little bits and pieces, baby console, and a little mannequin guy, mannequin man, who's basically just sat there to act as like perhaps someone you can talk to and basically get some permission to beam up some supplies or whatever. Come round the corner here, you have the cargo bay. Again, that door, you can't get through here. You can go through here. And then we can transport down the cargo, or up the cargo. So the transporter pad there. Pretty simple little cargo bay in here, nothing too amazing. And that's pretty much a Federation section. Okay, and this is location 2. Just head back towards the airlock here. This location, everything's button controlled to open the doors. Got some nice force fields blocking your access, loads of set extensions on this one. Console does some little bleepy noises. And then this first room down here we have access to the Skedar King, who will just, well, this is the mannequin in this bit. You just ask him, oh, can I have some supplies? And he'd go, yeah, alright then. So that's pretty much this room and the purpose of this room. Carry on moving down this way. Again, set extension with little Skedar soldiers in stasis there. We move to the main cargo bay. We should be kind of denied access. And this cargo bay is just full of little knickknacks. We got a little R2 style astromech droid. We got a bit of a TIE fighter and all kinds of other little bits and pieces. Space jockey from Aliens. A bit of Dead Space corridor. That's like a section of a blown up ship or something. And yes, loads of other bits and pieces. Our little Dalek, little K7 Avenger from Perfect Dark, some Halo weapons, and I forget what that's called. It's the blaster from the Imperial blaster thing from Star Wars. I forget what that's called. I think we got one over here as well, actually, on the side. And we've got some MA Avenger rifles from Mass Effect. Loads of little bits and pieces around here. And of course, again, we have our transporter pad. So you can beam stuff up and down to this location as well. And then we have our biological specimens, which I haven't showcased too much of, but it'd be interesting to know if anyone can get every specimen here. These are all from games. They're all from games with aliens in them, I assume. Or something alien-like. And yeah, they're just like snippets of biology. If I was to show you that, what game's that from? Who knows? Let's see if anyone gets it. But yeah, if anyone can get every single one on the list there, I'd be very, very surprised. But that is the alien area. Now, this is the one that I'm going to delete if endurance isn't too stable. But I will get to that at the end of the nearer the end of the video. So let's move on to the last location. So here we are at location number 3, which is basically a Deep Space Nine style station. Could be Deep Space Nine if you wanted it to. I left it open. If we come down from the airlock, you've got on the left side, you've got a doorbell noise and a little door button. And then when we come in here, we have a Cardassian mannequin. So if you want it to be a Cardassian station, it can be a Cardassian station. We've got our little wanted signs. I've got a few pictures of people who commented. Well, my favourite is Magikarp, because that's meant to be President Magikarp. To fill it up, I went through all the people who commented on my videos, and President Magikarp was one of them. But I forgot to put President in there, and yeah, I think it's Ceres, I think. But anyway, you're Magikarp now. And on the other side, we have a Federation person, so this could be like DS9 or whatever. So that's fun. A couple of locked doors, set extensions, invisible walls here. And then the aft cargo bay, well, not aft cargo bay, but the cargo bay. Large cargo bay door there. Loads of little bits dotted around, and again, transporter. We've got ourselves a nice little transporter in here too, and that's pretty much it. That's the locations. There's not much in terms of interaction at the locations, but It serves its purpose if you want to travel from A to B. So let's just return to the Endurance and carry on from there. Okay, so back at the airlock, we're going to move forward onto the bridge, which has a little kind of junction-y thing here. As we walk out onto the bridge at the back, we've got the main MSD. Moving forward, let's start with the port side. We've got our science station, which is really not all that interesting. Ship of this magnitude, this like purpose of being a freighter and being a transport ship and whatnot, you're not going to have much in terms. It doesn't have a full scientific array. You're not going to have much in terms of scientific equipment on board the ship. Doesn't have any laboratories or anything like that. So basically, most of these are just bleepy, apart from this middle one, which makes a little scanning noise and kind of returns the results. But that's pretty much it. Very simple science station there. This panel here is removable with some little gel packs in there, and then on here we have the equivalent of the briefing room. The briefing room, the transporter room, and the bridge are all one room on the ship, of course. So we've got our little bleepy panels, and of course this one here is like an overview of the ship, followed by just like a generic map. So you can flick between those and talk about stuff. We've got our plaque on the right here, the FCS Endurance plaque, and we have our transporter. Our transporter, we've got the main transporter console that allows you to beam stuff, well, somebody to a location. We've got some bleepy noises. This bottom one just makes a transporter sound, and the rest are just bleepies, so that's pretty easy. Pretty easy to get your head round. Oh god, this coffee I'm drinking tastes absolutely vile. Right, so moving forward, we have the captain's chair. We have two view screen choices similar to Asteria, so you can choose between two different view screens. So if I select view screen 1, and we would come over to the operations station and do open channel, you'd see that we have the Federation, well, on the Cardassian station there, but we have the woman there. And then if we close that, and then we go to view screen 2, I'm going to do open channel. We got the Skedar guys there, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Those view screens, those textures for that screen are in a separate pack, which literally you could just drag a JPEG in with the same file name and it would just override it. And it's nice, so you know exactly what textures they are. So if you do serial roleplays and you want to bring somebody up on the screen for a serial roleplay, it's perfect for that. We obviously, on this side, we also have incoming hail, which makes that noise at the operations station, and that's pretty much all that does. Let's start with the port side. We've got the tactical station. Starting from the top, pretty much all bleepy, apart from this one here, which says damage control. Activates the red alert and plays a little damage noise. Nothing too fancy. We then have all of these are bleepy as well. The next row we've got tractor control, which is toggleable. So we've got the tractor on and tractor off, and then each side of this little bit in the middle here we have two different alert noises. One is like a confirmation noise, I think, and then the other one is no, that one was the alert noise, and then you've got the kind of more of a confirmation noise there. So you've got two little sounds there. You've got shields, toggleable again, so shields go up and then shields go down. Rest of these are all bleepy. Then you've got your alert statuses here, so condition green, yellow, red, and blue. So your alert statuses are in there. This kind of section here is very difficult to describe without a line, but imagine the line down the panel there in the middle. You see where it says photon torpedoes and it's got like a little surround around it. The right side of this panel should just be bleepy, I think. Where it says photon torpedoes, it's photons, and on the left is phasers, which is pulse phasers. So simple, nice, easy station, that one. Let's switch over to the starboard side, where obviously you've already seen the open channel. That only works if you don't have the exterior showing. So if you have this little Federation logo, you can turn that on. You've got open hailing frequencies, which makes that noise. Bleepy on this edge again. And then you've got external sensors, which turn the exterior view screen on. Again, if you go to use the open channel, it's not going to work while that's active. You have to turn that off and then turn that one on. Pretty simple. Same vice versa. Pretty simple. Again, you've got the two different types of alerts. And sensor system, which just makes a bleepy noise with a return. These are all bleepy. This top row is all bleepy. Bleepy there. Bleepy there. And then we have our drive section separation.
Initiating decoupling sequence. Auto separation in 10 seconds.
Obviously when you do that, if we run to the back.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Auto separation.
So the aft section's now separated, and then we can dock it back together by using the same button again. You can do this at any point, even if you're docking with the station or whatever, it's not going to matter. It doesn't influence that system at all, so that's okay.
Reintegration sequence initiated. Drive section reintegration in 10 seconds. 9.
So I'll wait for that to
8.
finish.
Integration sequence complete.
Okay, so let's move forward to the helm console. Helm console, we've got an alert again, or a return. Quite a nice return. And we've got standard bleepy. This one doesn't do anything. And this one here is go to warp. Let's turn the exterior view screen on quickly. Okay, so this one won't do anything at the moment. This one won't do anything at the moment. As you go to warp, you then have access to the navigational menu, which allows us to set the destination, the like skybox, the exterior view when we next drop out of warp. So a little bit of a hint, if you are doing like a serial roleplay or something, and say for example, let's go to the Federation station.
Destination confirmed. Course adjusted.
So here we are at the Federation station. Okay, and say you were to, right, let's go to warp and let's disappear. So there you are, we've disappeared. If you were then to go to navigation, for example, and set the Deep Space Nine one, and then part of your role play was you needed to temporarily shut down the warp core or drop out of warp or something, the second you push that button, you're going to be at DS9. So my recommendation, just a little hint for you role players out there, is to start off with Deep Space in the bottom right hand corner, and then when you're ready to drop out of warp to whatever location is specified for that role play, you can then bring it back up, specify where you want to drop out of warp, and then you can drop out of warp there. So that, just a little bit of a tip. You don't want to drop out of warp looking at that on the screen when you're only meant to be stopping halfway to your destination to sort out a leaking plasma vent or something. So, you know, just a little bit of a tip. That's how I would do it. Docking sequence, not that complicated. Again, once you've dropped out of warp and you can see the station, you can then press the docking sequence. While this is happening, navigation doesn't work, that doesn't work, warp core shutdown doesn't work. You can't move or do it. You've got to wait for the sequence to complete, and you will fly in. And yeah, let's kind of jump cut to that.
Docking sequence complete.
So there we are, nice and easy. Now we just have to wait a little bit, and then we'll be able to use this same button to disembark. Again, none of this is going to work while this is happening, while we're docked. While we are docked with the station, any station, this is when we can toggle the airlock. And that gives us access to the airlock to go to the off-site locations, or off-ship locations even, I suppose it's both valid. And then when we come back over here with the airlock open, if we try to disembark, it's not going to work. You need to make sure that the airlock is sealed before you disembark. It has to have the red light. And this door has to be shut. Then we can disembark.
Initiating departure sequence.
So again, we're going to have to wait for the disembarkment distance sequence to finish, whatever that may be. And then we'll be able to go back to warp after that. You can't redock with the station after you've done this. You have to fly away first.
Departure sequence complete.
So there we are, we departed, the stars have disappeared. So, and I was just running around there for no point. Right, so now we can go to warp. Again, docking sequence doesn't work. Navigation sequence doesn't work, you've got to go back to warp. If we weren't to change our destination, say you went to warp and you forgot to change navigation to deep space or whatever, and then somebody shut down the warp core, you'd be right back where you started. So just make sure that you do change it.
Please specify destination confirmed. Course adjusted.
So there we have it. That's pretty simple. So sorry, it may seem a bit rushed, this video, but I just wanted to go through everything on the map, most of the functionality on the map. It is all the functionality on the map, right the way from the back to the front, just so you know everything that's in the final version, and that's everything that comes with it. If it hasn't been shown, it doesn't exist. This is the whole ship and the whole map as it is for release. After it's released, there's a couple of things I'm going to be looking at. The first thing is obviously stability. Asteria had some issues with stability. This map, it has less brushes and less entities than Asteria, but it's still bumping over the limit. So I am expecting stability issues with this map. If that is the case, then I will delete the Skedar location because it is full of entities. I could probably free up 200 by deleting that, and I'll re-release the map. You'll still be able to travel to it on the screen here, but there won't actually be an off-ship location for the Skedar location. It will just be completely deleted, and that should free up enough space to make the map generally more stable. If it turns out that the map is quite stable, then maybe a couple of months down the line I'll go back to Asteria for a week, and I'll just, I think I can get Asteria down to the brush and entity numbers as seen on this map. I could make it a lot more efficient and make that map a lot more stable. I'm not going to bother returning to Asteria and trying to fix that, because I'm going to have to delete half the map. That's the only way. If this map doesn't work and isn't stable, that map's never going to be stable, not in 100 million years. So hopefully this map will be quite stable. I've never had any issues with it. I have run servers with 12 to 16 people, clients connected on it, and I've also recently, for the documentation for this, I run a server with like 9 clients connected. It was all, the only reason I couldn't connect anymore was because it was all traveling through the same port, but I connected via the internet, and both Asteria maps and this worked completely stable with no problems, no crashing, nothing like that. So I haven't had any problems at all. Callum's been on here with me, he hasn't had any problems at all with it, no issues whatsoever. I have added some recommendations into the installation guide, ways of improving your chance of getting Asteria, for example, working, by removing all other modders' maps from it, getting the standard edition, only having the raw RPGX files in your installation, giving it more time to load and not immediately panicking, freeing up more memory, lowering resolution, you know, just little tweaks and things you can do to give it a better chance of being more stable. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this will be stable a few months down the line. I'll do a little update to Asteria and I'll let everybody know, probably on my website, or I'll just let it update it and, you know, post something somewhere about it. But yeah, if it's not particularly stable, I'm sure I'll be able to get endurance working at a stable point for most, but Asteria will never be stable in that case. So this is kind of a test. This is pushing it right to the limits. If this map works, I can get Asteria down to this, so I should be able to get it working for Asteria as well. So anyway, thank you everyone who supported the development of this map. Thanks to everyone who supported the development of the Asteria map as well, and generally it's the same map pack, so thanks to all you guys. Don't forget to, you know, leave comments, stuff, feedback. You can go to my forums, you can send me an email, you can leave comments here, just let me know your experiences with the map and if you're enjoying it and what you like about it, what you don't like about it. But apart from that, you know, the ship's ready to go, so really all we need is a crew.
Docking sequence complete.
So there we have it. So this video is basically the official announcement for the release of Endurance now. It's now part of the Asteria Pack. You can now download it and have a little play on it. And this video is also kind of like, it's kind of two-sided, because on the one side it's good and exciting because we got the Endurance release now, but at the same time, as I mentioned in a channel update not so long ago, this is the last Star Trek themed video and last, well, really Star Trek themed anything that I'm ever going to work on. So yeah, it's kind of sad because you know, it's I've been doing Star Trek themed stuff for probably about 18 years, so it's been a long time for me, but it's moving on in a new direction and I have no issue with that, but it just seems to be in a direction that personally doesn't appeal to me anymore, and it's time for me to move on and start doing something else. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit sad really, but I really like the way that it's come around, because obviously my development name's Griffin Endurance, and the Endurance actually comes from the very first single player mod that I was serious about making, which was based around the cargo ship Endurance. A different one to this is the successor to that ship, but its design influences can be seen. I'll put up some, this was a map when I was like, well, a mod when I was like really young, and it was using stock textures and it was horrible, but I'll put up some pictures of it and you'll be able to see like the view screen, and you'll be able to see that it had a helm console like this with the little kind of Enterprise rails on it, and you'll be able to see that it had like the Defiant kind of style booths on each side and a captain's chair. This is actually the NX-01 captain's chair now, but it had the captain's chair with the two panels and the little kind of situation room table at the back. So it's kind of stuck to that, and I just think it's quite poetic, you know. I started making Star Trek custom content, themed content with Endurance, really. That was the first thing I was serious about, and I've ended on it with Endurance. I think that's just fantastic. I think that's a really good way to go out. But you know, it's still very sad. But I'd just like to take the opportunity now to thank everyone anyway who has supported my Star Trek themed content, whatever that may be, whether it be back in the days of freelance or making my RPGX stuff. But yeah, it's time to move on, and you know, it's sad. It kind of feels like I'm saying goodbye to an old friend, really. But yeah, there's not really anything else to say. Enjoy the map, and really just to the Star Trek franchise as a whole. Goodbye, old friend. Have fun.